All right, in this lecture, we're going to go over form and how to use it. So what is form? Well, form is just adding a 3-dimension to a 2D object. So for example, let's draw a square. So this square right here is a 2D object. It only has 2 dimensions. But we can add a 3rd dimension to that, or at least the illusion of a 3rd dimension, by creating it into a cube. So to do that, all we have to do is draw lines coming off of each corner, like so. And then we just need to connect each one of those lines. And now we have a simple isometric cube. So we just added form to that. Let's try another shape. Let's say we wanted to create form in a cone. Well, what we'd have to do is we need to first draw the base, which is going to be an oval. Because this is going to be a circle base, and it's going to be in perspective, if we have a circle like this, and we're looking at it from this view, you see how it turns into an oval? That's perspective. So let's go ahead and draw the peak of our cone, just like so, and then we'll draw that rounded bottom, like so. So now we have a cone, and that has some form to it, because we can see that bottom edge. Next, let's try a pyramid. So a pyramid is going to have a square or rectangular base. So let's go ahead and sketch out that rectangular base. So let's say the rectangular base is like so. And then we need to draw our first surface. So our first surface is going to be like this. So from one corner to the other, and then connect at the top. And then we can connect it at the bottom. And then the other one is going to go ahead and connect up to the top like so. So now we have a very basic pyramid. Now, what if we wanted to create a random sort of organic shape? So let's say we wanted a shape like this. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly draw a shape. Now, how can we add form to that? Well, it's just like adding form to the cube. We just want to draw a line coming off of each one of these corners. Like so. And then we're going to connect all these lines. But when we connect them all, our line or our shape on this side has to match this edge right here. So first we'll do this one. And then this is a solid object, so you're not going to see this line continue because it's covered up by this area. And we'll go ahead and draw a line there, a line there, a line there, and a line there. And so now we just added form to that shape. Now, what if it was an organic shape? So let's say we have a very random squiggly shape like so, and we want to add some form to that. Well, all we have to do is have a line coming off there, a line coming off there, and then we're not going to have a line coming off over here because we're seeing the top of that. Over here, we're actually seeing the edge of that shape. Then we're going to go ahead and add a line there, and we'll add a little bit of a line in there, and then one right there. And then, whoops, I went over a little bit right there. Then we can go ahead and we want to copy this shape like we did on this. We want to copy this edge over onto this edge. So we'll copy that shape right there. And we'll copy this edge also. Perfect. All right, so now you should have a pretty good idea of how to add form to your shapes. But this is very basic form. What if we wanted to change things up a little bit? Like, let's say we wanted to see these from a different angle. So with our cube, let's say we wanted to see it from more of a top view. Well, what we need to do is we need to stretch this top plane out a little bit more so that we see more of that top plane and a little bit less of this front plane. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw our front plane first, but it's going to be very, very slightly squished. So a little bit less than a square and a little bit more of a rectangle. Then we're going to take this form right here and we're going to stretch that out by a lot. So we'll stretch it out like so. And then we can go ahead and draw this edge or this plane like so. So now we're getting a lot more of a top view on that cube. What if we wanted to see more of a top view on this cone? Well, what we need to do is we need to stretch this base out. So right now, imagine if we have a circle and we're looking at it from that view. If we want to see it at more of a top view, we just need to turn that circle down a little bit more. So this needs to become a more pulled out oval. So let's go ahead and draw that. So we'll draw that like so. And then let's go ahead and draw in the triangle part of our cone. And then we'll go ahead and draw our bottom round edge. And so now you get the illusion that you're getting more of a top-down view of this cone. Let's try this pyramid. So let's say that we want to see a more top-down view of this pyramid. Well, we go ahead and we draw that square base, but with more of a top-down view. So it's just like the circle. If you can make a square with your hands, Let's say you're looking at it from a view like this, and then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to move that down so that we can see it from more of a top-down view. That's all we're doing with this square base. So next what we want to do is we want to add in that first plane like so, and then we'll add in that second plane, and then we'll add in that bottom. So now we're getting much more of a top-down view on that pyramid. Now, what if we wanted to turn something? So let's say this shape right here, and let's say we wanted to turn it a little bit more to the left, well, or the right. Well, all we have to do is we just have to squish this shape right here and then pull these out further. So let me show you what I mean. So first, let's redraw this base shape. And we want to, like I said, squish it. So we're going to make this part right here skinnier. We're going to make this part skinnier. Like so. So now we have a lot more squished type of a shape like that. And then we're going to go ahead and take these lines and draw these out a little bit longer. So we're going to draw them out to about there, and this one to about there, this one to there. And I didn't copy the shape over perfectly, but it gets the idea across. Like so. So now you're getting a lot more of a side view of this shape. What if we wanted to tilt a shape forward, like this shape? Well, this will be a little bit more complicated, but it can still be done. So let's go ahead and draw the shape, but you have to imagine the shape as though its surface is being tilted forward like so, and so it's going to become a lot more squashed in the diagonal angle. So let's go ahead and draw this. So first, starting with this little loop right here, I'm going to go ahead and draw that right there, and then I'll do this loop right here, and this one is actually going to just get squashed in this way rather than this way. And then we'll go ahead and do this one. This one will get squashed like so. And then this one is going to stay wider like this one over here. And then we can go ahead and draw our lines, but we're going to make them go up more because it's being tilted forward. So these lines are going to become more diagonal. So they're going to almost be straight up. And we'll go ahead and complete these edges. Like so, and then we'll connect those two lines also. So now you get a lot more of a tilted view of this shape. So I really hope you guys are starting to get a really good idea of how form works. Now let's go ahead and draw an object from real life and try to capture its form. So I have my eraser here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip my paper over, and I'm going to set my eraser right here in front of me, and I'm going to draw it for you guys, okay? So first off, I'm noticing that there's this bottom line, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that bottom diagonal line like so. And then the shape of the eraser is the first thing we want to do. So I'm going to draw the side view of it. So it goes up like this, and this side does the same thing. And then it connects over like so. And then it connects like this. And this might actually not be the best view of the eraser, so I'm going to try a different one. I'm going to turn my eraser and try this view. So I'm going to start off with my diagonal line, and then I'm going to draw my two other diagonal lines like so, and create that basic shape of my eraser. Then I'm going to go ahead and draw my lines going off in the opposite direction. And I'll just connect all these lines, and as you see, that is the very basic shape of my eraser. If I wanted to, I can go ahead and round off all these corners, since an eraser usually has pretty rounded corners because it's all used up. And then I can even take my eraser and go ahead and erase away these unwanted areas. Remember not to push too hard if you want to erase. This is why I always recommend that you start out drawing lighter and then move to darker colors. So there's the basic form from a real-life object. Now, one last thing I want to go over with you guys before the end of this lecture is I want to go over with you form in a sphere. So a sphere is just a ball, and basically a sphere is just going to be a circle. Without any highlights or shadows, you're not going to know the difference between a circle and an actual sphere. So let's say that we have our circle right here. And now there are no edges that you can add to this circle. So there's no way to really show that this is an actual three-dimensional form without adding highlights or shadows to it. But in the next lecture, we're going to go ahead and learn how to add highlights and shadows to our forms to make them look 10 times more realistic. All right, that brings us to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture, you learned how to turn shapes into three-dimensional forms. So we learned how to make a cube, which can also be translated into a rectangular cube if you stretch these lines out in either direction. We also learned how to create a cone. We learned how to create a pyramid, a random shape, and an organic shape. Then we learned how to redraw these at different angles. This is very important when you're drawing out of your head, is to understand how to draw things in different angles. And the more you draw from life, the more you're going to understand perspective and how to draw from those different angles. In the next lecture, we're going to go ahead and learn how to add in those highlights and shadows. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.